If you're someone who was here from the raid and you've never heard of Call before, Call for an Uprising is a conspiracy theorist that I cover regularly. He really doesn't like me. He hates trans people and gay people, and has said specifically he wants to hold us down with our feet so scorpions can sting us. So that's fun and not at all psychotic. Anyway, he's scared of a lot of things. One of the things he's scared of is virtual reality. So let's see this video of him being scared, which is just his typical MO. Jilly Foo says, I gotta see what Call thinks of VR, being a denizen of VR myself. I can't wait to see how wrong he is. Oh, that's what I'm excited for, too. Because, guys, I'm an owner of a VR headset. I do the VR. So I'm interested to see what his position on this thing is, considering he's probably never used one. Ice Queen says, more hype, bits, and calls an idiot. Thanks.
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it.
Felix
Wake
Night Owl
up,
says,
because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. Much like Dante's Inferno and the levels and layers in hell and all of...
Do you think Call for an Uprising has read Dante's Inferno? Because I have. I also own it. I only read the first one. I didn't read Paradiso or Purgatorio, just because I didn't feel the need to. But I've read Dante's Inferno. Just wondering if Call has.
those types of things that we've heard about and read about, well, I guess we're probably going to have different levels and different dimensions of hell here, too.
I wouldn't recommend it, for the record.
Because...
Not that it's, like, objectively bad or anything. It's just, you know. I don't need to hear a poet bitch about Florentinian politics contemporary to his time. I just don't care.
Just like the Metaverse.
Audis Noir says, Paradiso was boring. It was basically Dante flexing his Catholic nerd chops. Lily Love Stuff says, in Paradiso, it's revealed that God is a bunch of rainbows and books. So a reading rainbow, if you would. That makes sense.
We now have the Omniverse, and this shouldn't surprise anyone. It's just...
I've not heard of the Omniverse. I've heard of the stupid Facebook Metaverse thing. I can't say I've heard of the Omniverse. So, the Facebook Metaverse thing, you may or may not have heard of this marketing buzzword bullshit. But let me talk about it for a minute, if I might. So, Facebook owns Oculus. Oculus is a company that began as a Kickstarter campaign, I think like a decade ago at this point, maybe further. That was a Kickstarter to start a, basically to make VR headsets. Because VR, as in its infancy as it is now, it was even more in its infancy then. It's like a fetus, basically. Mike Mack says it's Dante's Inferno canon. A lot of Christians seem to think so, honestly. Ice Queen says you're never going to care about my poetry then. Probably not. I don't think when's the last time I cared about any kind of poetry? I'm not big on poetry. Write any limericks? Maybe a dirty limerick. Anyway, so eventually Oculus got out the Oculus Rift. And then they were purchased by a little company known as Facebook. So this is a Oculus Quest 2. This is a recent headset of theirs. This is mine. That's a weird thing to say. That sounds sus. Makes it sound like I went over to my neighbors and stole it. No, I bought this a while ago because I like VR and I think it's cool. So the Metaverse is this idea that Facebook, or I guess they're called Meta now, is trying to sell to their investors, where they're going to have this online economy in this fake world that they're going to create. If you've read Ready Player One, first of all, Sorry. Second of all, the Oasis. They're talking about trying to create the Oasis from Ready Player One, basically. Hopefully with better writing. But I just make the same jokes everyone makes. Ready Player One bad, am I right? Ashio1717, thanks for subscribing at Tier 1. Chairman Blue, thanks for 100 bits. Seriously, though, Ready Player One's pretty bad. So anyway, Facebook is trying to create that. They're nowhere close to it, and it's all marketing bullshit. I know this because I own an Oculus. I have a lot of fun with it, don't get me wrong. The games are fun. I enjoy them. Many of the games that are more like tech demos are fun. They're starting to get more actual games on here, which is fun. I've been playing a Walking Dead game that's pretty good. I think it's called Saints and Sinners. They're good games. It is not anywhere in the near future, though maybe someday, going to be like what Facebook is selling it as. It very much feels like they're trying to create their own walled garden to sell products and get other people to create products that they can then skim 10% or 30% or whatever on the sale price of, because it's their walled garden, similar to the App Store for Apple or Android or whatever. So anyway, the Metaverse is dumb, is what I'm trying to say, basically. Bittergrin says the Oasis was a ripoff of the Metaverse from Snow Crash, which is a decent book. Haven't read it. Jilly Foo says Resident Evil 4 is pretty dang good. I have read Ready Player One, though. Which was not a good use of my time.
It's an alternative universe so that people can choose between the Meta or the Omni, and there's going to be many more of these that pop up, just like social media between Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and so on and so forth. I've said it before, I'll say it again, one of the greatest scams,
I'm sorry, you're right. Android does allow you to sideload apps. I more meant that when you are in the App Store, it allows sellers to sell apps, but Google gets a cut because they're selling them on the Play Store. Apple has a walled garden because you can't sideload apps without jailbreaking your phone.
shouldn't say the greatest because this whole world is one giant scam. But one of the greatest scams that they ever created was the illusion of freedom and the illusion of choice. I've said it a million times. That's why you could choose from Stouffer's mac and cheese or Kraft, Cheerios or the generic type. Why? Because it gives people the illusion that they have free will and free choice when it's one and the same, right?
I guess I don't understand what your serial determinism metaphor is all about. Like, I don't necessarily think markets, like laissez-faire market capitalism, is the most efficient way to organize society. I certainly don't believe that by any means, but like that's what you're talking about. It's the result of capitalism and the markets within that create buy Cheerios or buy off-brand Cheerios, buy Fruity Pebbles or Cocoa Dino Bites. Like, that's basically how it works. Two-Man says, but have you read Ready Player 2? It was way worse. I've not, and I don't intend to. I got through one of those things. I don't need to read another.
Same thing in a different box, same chemicals, different price. Oh, I can get the cheaper version than the name brand Cheerio. Okay. It's an illusion. It makes people feel that they're free. It makes people feel that they still are living in a republic when they're not. Now, some of you might say,
Mike Mack says it's called capitalism, the thing you were defending the other times. Purple Nickel says, this reminds me of a podcast I listened to, Hello from Hallowoods. This big corporation has bought out everything and keeps everyone under control with these dreaming visors to just sell them things and make money. Yep. It's a common trope in dystopian sci-fi. Ice Queen says, neither Stouffer's or Kraft. I don't know what this link is to, but it's blocking.
And might be confused by the whole metaverse thing because it's not easy to get a grip on.
No, Call. I'll explain why it's not easy to get a grip on. It's because it's stupid. There isn't really a good reason. It's a way for Facebook to try and court investors. It's not really based in any... How do I put this? It feels like an idea conceived of because they thought it would be a cool idea to own that and to get their own walled garden not because there's an actual demand for it. Especially if you watch, like, the hour-long presentation Zuckerberg gave about it. Feels like they don't even quite know exactly what it is, other than productivity and meetings, virtual meetings. By the way, on the App Store on here, if I open it up real quick, you can see some of the apps that get used. You guys can't see this. Why isn't it detecting my hands? Hold on. I didn't bring the controllers. Oh, shoot. I turned off the auto detect for my hand control last time I was playing a game that was fucking up when using it. Either way, I don't need to see it to explain it. On the App Store, on the Oculus, you can see the apps that they were showing in the Metaverse demo thing that Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook were doing. Those are some of the lowest rated apps on the App Store, and other companies make better versions of those apps. It's not happening for Facebook. They suck at this. They suck at this, seriously. Because, like, Facebook has an app, I think it's called Horizons Events, Horizons Meetings. Those are all really low rated apps. People don't use them generally. Yeah, people use VR chat or other things, which are on their App Store.
But the guy who's created the Omniverse, which is going to run counter to the Metaverse, is
That's really stupid.
explaining this, and I want you to see for yourself so you have a better understanding about this 3D virtual.
Felix Night Owl says, does this mean Call is going to start advocating for Elizabeth Warren's push for strengthening antitrust laws so we have less monopoly and monopsonies, right, Call? To fetter the plight of unfettered capitalism? No, he thinks all politicians are fake. Jilly Foo says Facebook just wants to try to be VR chat with the less anime girls already. It's such a stupid idea. Guys, as someone who's used VR, I fully believe VR headsets and AR headsets are probably a thing that will get more and more use as the years go on. Will they be as popular as, like, a cell phone or a TV in your house? I don't know. I couldn't say. A lot of people get motion sickness. I'm very lucky in that I never suffer from motion sickness from VR, ever. I never have, and I've done some pretty extreme games and stuff on there. But it's a really fun thing. But the form it's going to take is not going to be some all-encompassing Oasis-like fantasy, sci-fi, Second Life. No. This is basically a really, really advanced head-mounted display with tracking technology they can use to run different games, apps, and programs. It does not need to be, nor would the market dictate, I would think, unless you're really forcing it down their throats, an all-encompassing ecosystem for all of them. It would be like saying my TV can only get channels provided by Netflix. I can only get Netflix on my TV. I own a Netflix TV, and everything on that TV has to be Netflix content. It's stupid. It's not how it works. I own this headset. It's not even how it works now. I own this headset. I play individual games with it. Not only do I use the Oculus Store, I use the Steam Store, which you can also get on this if you plug it into your computer. That's how I played Half-Life Alyx the other day. It's just dumb. And it's even dumber to me that I have to go on and talk about this shit because of Call, who clearly doesn't even understand this, has never touched a VR headset in his life, and has no idea what he's talking about. It's just stupid. It makes him sound like an idiot. Jilly Foo says Facebook just wants to try VR chat with less anime cat girls, already objectively worse. Tube Man says, I feel like the general public's idea of VR is still stuck in the 80s sci-fi idea of you being sucked into a computer with haptic feedback and not just like a screen on your face. Yeah. They're thinking Lawnmower Man. Ice Queen says, hell, I own an Amazon TV and I'll be watching Disney Plus on it in about 6 hours. Yeah. It's just stupid. It's just really stupid what Facebook wants to do. And I just don't foresee it happening. I really, really don't. Not from them, at least. Maybe if Apple did it. Apple's got enough like people who are devotees to Apple, that if they did something like that, I could maybe see enough people getting on board, because you really need a kind of momentum for this to work, you know? If you want people to join this virtual space you have or whatever, you need a lot of people to do it, so people will feel FOMO. I don't think that's happening with this. I just don't. Anonymous Cheer, thanks for 100 bits.
World that these people are creating that is going to be the next phase of the internet, but in reality it's going to be the next phase of humanity, because humans are going to be connected to the internet. But he talks about just how this whole thing is going to work, and you need to get an understanding of this and understand it soon, because it's coming quick. Take a listen.
6ML models will predict the climate. Let's talk about Omniverse. The internet changed everything is surely an understatement. We are always connected now. The internet is essentially a digital overlay on the world. The overlay is largely 2D information: text, voice, images, video. But that's about to change. We now have the technology to create new 3D virtual worlds or model our physical world. These virtual worlds will obey the laws of physics, or not. There can be AI or friends with you. We will jump from one world to another, like we do on the web with hypertext. This new world will be much larger than the physical world. We will buy and own 3D things.
Again, that in and of itself is a really stupid thing to say. That's how you know this is marketing. The landmass in this Omniverse you think is going to be bigger than that of the real world. How? Like, I could make a Minecraft world that'll, like, procedurally generate basically forever until it glitches. But why would I do that, and why would I want that in a virtual reality thing? What? That's not how it works. Ice Queen says, remember in Back to the Future 2 where they could predict the weather down to the second? That was set 6 years ago. Yeah, it was.
Like we buy 2D songs and books today.
I just fucking hate Silicon Valley bullshit so much. It's so much of this fluff bullshit that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't need to be the way it is. Like, this idea of, like, buying virtual objects, like it's like in this particular instance, buy 3D objects. Buy this model of a forklift. Why? It's virtual. You could literally give everyone in that VR, whatever, every file in the game that's an object. It costs you nothing to give someone the ability to have that forklift. I am not about fucking, like artificial scarcity. That shit's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting.
We will buy, own, sell homes, furniture, cars, luxury goods.
Like, no, the reason you buy a home in the real world is because it is a real thing with physical boundaries that you have, that you live in. That's a real thing. It's, to borrow something from Crypto Bros, this house is non-fungible. I am the only one who can live here. Of course, Baja, but you know what I mean. Like, it's a thing that there is a theoretical scarcity of. I say theoretical because there's actually more empty houses in the US than there are homeless people. But that's not the point I'm trying to make right now. The point I'm trying to make is there is some sort of logic behind an inherent value in a physical thing, like a house. A digital model of a house that can be repeated in infinite instances, the only boundary of which is basically your server space, makes no sense. Once you create a model of a house, you can give that house to everyone in the game for free. It makes no sense.
Goods
I just hate it.
And art in this world. Creators will make more things in virtual worlds than they do in the physical world. We built Omniverse for builders of these virtual worlds. Some worlds will be built for gathering and games, but a great many will be built by scientists, creators, and companies. Virtual worlds will crop up like websites today. Omniverse is very different than a game engine. Omniverse is designed to be data center scale, and hopefully someday, planetary scale.
It's a game engine.
The portal...
If it even exists. I don't know what the fuck his people are working on other than this, investor thing. And make no mistake, presentations like this and presentations like the one Mark Zuckerberg gave the other day about the Omniverse, they are not for you and me. They are disguised to look like they're for you and me. They're not. These are ads for investors to come in and give money to these people in the hopes that they will get in on the next big thing. Can you imagine if you had invested in, like, Amazon or early internet stuff back when it was cheap? You'd be a billionaire. So come invest in our Omniverse, our Metaverse, our whatever. It's gonna be the next internet.
Of Omniverse.
I wouldn't say it's a scam, because I fully believe that, like, Omniverse guy and Zuckerberg probably really believe they're going to build these platforms. But it's dishonest. It's certainly dishonest in the way they're framing these systems and the actual capabilities of these services and hardware, frankly. Like, how do I explain this? VR is still a thing with a lot of technical kinks to work out. If you've seen either of my VR streams I've done so far, you know I've dealt with some technical issues. And I'm not completely tech illiterate. I'm not someone who's the most up and up on tech stuff, but, like, it can be a little bit of a pain in the ass to deal with these and hooking them up to different stuff and figuring out how they work effectively, and if something goes wrong, what's going on with it. Do you think your 40-year-old uncle, your 50-year-old, grandmother is going to know how to use one of these? I kind of doubt it. My grandparents don't know how to use the remotes on their TV. They have 2 remotes. They don't look anything like each other. They're different colors. Ice Queen says, once again, I recommend you check out Silicon Valley. I forget, do you like Mike Judge? If so, you'd like it. I like Mike Judge.
This is USD, Universal Scene Description. Essentially a digital wormhole that connects people and computers to Omniverse. And for one Omniverse world to connect to another.
Oh, by the way, all this shit, the Facebook Metaverse, this Omniverse shit, it all relies upon the idea that all Americans have amazing internet connection, which is objectively untrue. I don't think Mark Zuckerberg understands the situation in terms of internet speeds and availability in a lot of parts of the country, and how bad our infrastructure is in regard to that kind of thing.
USD is to Omniverse what HTML is to websites. Omniverse is futuristic. Omniverse can connect design worlds. Things created in the Adobe world can be connected to those in the Autodesk world through Omniverse, enabling designers to collaborate in a shared space. Changes by a designer in one world are updated for all connected designers, essentially like a cloud shared document for 3D.
Wait, so if I use someone else's teapot in my model and they change the teapot model to put, like, a dick butt on it, it's just going to change it in my environment, and I don't get to say, no, I want the old version. That person... That's a terrible idea. That's a terrible idea. You're gonna... How did someone not think about this for 5 seconds? Someone's going to make a generic, or they're going to pick up from the market a generic model of anything. A coffee mug, whatever... and they're going to put dicks and racial slurs on them when you're not looking, so people will pop into your virtual house and your house is covered in swastikas, and you're going to be like, oh shit, it happened again. Do these people not use the internet? Do they not know how it works? People are dog shit. They're going to swastika up your house.
3D design. Omniverse will revolutionize how the 40 million 3D designers in the world collaborate. Companies can build virtual factories and operate them with virtual robots in Omniverse. The virtual factories and robots are the digital twins of their physical replica. The physical version is the replica of the digital, since they're produced from the digital original. Omniverse digital twins are where we will design, train, and
Bard Like Moses says that sounds like Facebook. Yeah. Felix Night Owl says, imagine if all the billionaire big brain dudes spent their time, energy, and brilliance rather than in some imaginary world instead of the real world by finding a renewable energy technology and sustainability. I take umbrage with implying that billionaires' time, energy, or brilliance are worth anything. When Elon Musk is the richest man alive. You don't have to be particularly smart to be the richest people on the planet. You just have to have rich families and invest in the right thing, sometimes by happenstance. Jilly Foo says, driving a virtual robot that drives a robot in real life, I'm sure that won't cause an accident. Yeah, people are going to grief that. You want people to go work at jobs at Amazon virtually? They're gonna drive it into every shelf in the place. I don't know what it looks like in Amazon warehouses where they keep all the stuff. I assume it's on big, like, pallets on shelves and stuff. I don't know. You're gonna knock that shit over.
Continuously monitor robotics factories and buildings, warehouses, and cars of the future.
Can I just point this out too?
Warehouses and cars.
I hate, and I blame Tesla for this. Tesla has this design philosophy of absolute minimalism at the cost of functionality. So when you look at like a Tesla car interior, it looks like this. And like, I get it. On a purely aesthetic level, you see that and you go, oh, cool, minimalistic, kind of futuristic. Practically speaking, this works terribly because tactile button controls are actually really good when you're doing something else, like driving. So if you need to switch the radio or turn the heat on or off or whatever, it helps to, you know, be able to feel what it is so you're not looking at it. The tablet designs of Teslas and other cars are picking up on this too because Tesla is now the highest value automaker on the planet, which is disgusting. Lots of things I'm mad about today. Either way, point I'm trying to make is stop with this shit. Please put buttons back in cars. I don't want to crash and die. Tube Man says, one day people will realize that sci-fi stories like Snow Crash and Summer Wars were made as cautionary tales about VR and not life goals. Yeah, there was a Reddit post the other day that was like, oh god, what is it? It was something about like an imaginary sci-fi story called like, don't make the pain, what is it? It was like, don't make the agonizer or something like that. And it was like, you know, book about the agonizer and some sci-fi device that does terrible things. And it says when a Silicon Valley CEO reads the book and it's their response and they're like, oh yeah, I could totally sell pain agonizers or whatever. I butchered that. I've been streaming too long, sorry. Sky Comet Fallen says, the human race was a mistake. Throw it away, burn it in a fire. Bittergrin says, oh yeah, the original Metaverse was a capitalist hellscape. That was one of the points of the book.
Cars of the future.
The Torment Nexus, that's what it was. The book was called Don't Make the Torment Nexus or something like that. And it was like Silicon Valley bro reading this. Oh man, the Torment Nexus is rad. I should totally make that in real life.
There are 15 million 5G microcells and towers planned for global deployment in the next 5 years. Ericsson is using NVIDIA Omniverse to build digital twin environments to help determine how to place and configure each of their sites for the best coverage and network performance. In Omniverse, Ericsson builds city-scale models that are physically accurate down to the materials of the buildings, vegetation, and foliage. Then,
Google Earth also does this automatically.
Wireless network components are added, including the precise location, height, and antenna pattern of each transmitter. Ericsson built a custom Omniverse extension, enabling them to integrate radio propagation data and leverage Omniverse's RTX accelerated ray tracing to quickly visualize and calculate the quality of the signal at every point in the city. Because
you get it, you're simulating areas to determine where you need to place 5G towers in order to make sure people get the most optimal signal at the most times. I get it.
Omniverse materials are physically accurate, the intensity of reflections are precisely determined. Antenna beamforming and signal paths can be accurately simulated and visualized. In the simulations, the lobes signify transmitter antenna beamforming, and the straight lines are signal paths.
No, it was because of a social network called Genesis or something. That's the last that's the last Terminator movie I saw.
The colors of the signal paths denote strength in decibels and data throughput, from blue is the weakest to red is the strongest. Visualization is a critical capability for Ericsson. With Omniverse VR, network engineers can virtually explore any part of the model, teleporting to any location, anywhere in the world, at 1-to-1 scale. As they tune the network for optimal performance or identify path disruptions, they can literally see the effects of their adjustments in real time, things which aren't visible in real life. In Omniverse, Ericsson can perform true-to-reality remote simulation of entire 5G networks, enabling them to design more efficient and reliable networks, conduct remote field trials, and speed up deployments.
So that's the nightmare that's going to be presented to us here on Earth. The Omniverse, the Metaverse, the Toiletverse, maybe it'll be a MySpace verse. All of it will be here.
Boomer.
And people will have the choice of what reality they want to live in, because they're not going to be living in this reality anymore. But at the same time, most of the people who are walking around here amongst us aren't living in this reality. I mean, you see these people in the argument. I mean, all you have to do is look at the whole situation with the Rittenhouse kid and how people in the news media react, and there's the racial division when nobody involved was even of any skin color.
That's a deflection I always find interesting about the situation, as if it wasn't around a Black Lives Matter protest that Rittenhouse specifically went to, weeks after saying he wishes he could go to an event like that and hurt people. Weird.
The Caucasian. I mean, nobody thinks. They just do. They just listen. They aren't in this world.
Yeah, I know what the image is from. We watched that short film on stream.
Anymore. They are living in La La Land, and the Metaverse will give them that La La Land where they can choose who they want to be. You want to be a superhero and be lame? Go ahead. And one of the key things you have to think about and hear is this 3D printing, right? Because it sounds so insane. What is 3D printing? Well, I'll give you
Wait, did Call just learn about 3D printing in 2021?
a hint what they use to 3D print. It starts with graph and ends with "ine."
Graphene is potentially a revolutionary material. It's a atom-thick layer of carbon atoms which is arranged in sheets. Now, one of the problems or potential problems with graphene is that even though you might end up using it in a screen on a computer...
We've seen enough shit about graphene from Call's other videos. I think we all know what it is at this point, so I'm just going to skip ahead to when he fearmongers about it.
There's a lot of this kind behind who are
Literally.
scientists, and we've got that magic blend of both here at Manchester.
So graphene, of course, is going to be involved in this.
TubeMan says that one thing that stands in the way of Silicon Valley idiots from destroying the internet is the ISPs are too shitty to let them install their cell towers and fiber networks in their territories. It's what kept Google from installing fiber all over the US like they wanted.
Process, literally. In a lot of ways, some people don't realize it's already involved in their day-to-day life. They just don't seem to get it yet. But
SkyCometFallen says you can be whatever you want. That already exists. It's called video games.
it is.
Yeah.
And this is the nightmare that we're going to live in. This different dimensions that they're going to create, these virtual dimensions, and humans will be connected to the internet.
Call. Second Life was a thing like 20 years ago. Hold on. Second Life. Is that still a thing? Second Life appears to still be a thing. Second Life is a game that basically does every single thing that Mark Zuckerberg wants the the Metaverse to do, except it's existed for like 20 years. It released in June of 2003. It's literally just not VR. But it is everything that the Metaverse wants to be. Plus furries. It's not a new thing. People are into it. I haven't. I'm not big on the whole, like, go do a Second Life thing. It's not for me. The closest I get to that is, like, playing Dungeons and Dragons. But that's a different thing, and that more involves, playing a game with your friends in real life. But it's not a new thing. It's not. Just because you're wearing it and viewing it through this doesn't make it that much different than playing it on your computer. Just more immersive.
And they're going to want it. And people are going to say, isn't this cool? I don't have to go to an actual meeting. I can see the person with my own
World of Warcraft or EQ? What's EQ?
eyes in my cubicle that I'm now living in. All right, because it's going to be just like that predictive programming movie, Ready Player One. And people are just going to be living.
Oh, he's talking about the shitty movie. Bardlock Moses says it's not like you're a cat in D&D, Hannah. Don't. We're not gonna talk about that. Next week is the first episode of season 2 of Charisma Saves. So if you want to watch me and Actual Jake, if you're aware of Actual Jake, the guy that wears a corn suit, and some other people, we play a D&D campaign. Next Thursday, we are starting campaign 2. You do not need to have seen season 1. We did do a season 1, but you don't need to have seen that to enjoy season 2. It's like 30 years after the first one, and it's a different story. Some of the same characters might show up, not as players, but as NPCs. But, like, it's a different story. So if you want to check it out, Actual Jake's channel, twitch.tv/actualjake next Thursday.
In, like, 10 by 10 rooms. And as long as they're hooked.
Is that the same night as Critical Role? I don't watch Critical Role. I don't find that to be a smart decision if it's true and Jake made that decision.
Up to the internet, they're not going to care, and they're all going to be stacked up on top of each other. One on top of the other, crates, living in crates. And they won't care because they're going to be living in the virtual realm where they could be whatever and whoever they want.
I think we're doing it earlier in the day, if that makes a difference. I don't know.
Like I showed you in other videos, I can have a beer with Justin Bieber. I can have a cappuccino with Tom Hanks.
Does anyone want to do that? Either way, the D&D stuff will get posted to YouTube after the fact, so you can check it out later. Chairman Blue says Critical Corn.
Sounds like hell to me, because that's exactly what it is. So get your...
Oh yeah, 10 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, we should probably be done by then. I don't know if we will the first night, just because it'll probably be a longer session. The early sessions tend to be a little longer, but...
Yourself aware of the Omniverse, the Metaverse, and all of these virtual realms are going to create.
I'll tell you one thing. If VR does take off and everyone ends up having them, the streams are going to be more fun. Have some kind of virtual set. I'll look better in VR. You'll see my rage. I'll gesticulate more, probably. Probably not going to be fun. Ice Queen says, Jeremy could have a beer with Brie Larson.
I was talking about this when that ridiculous Pokemon Go thing came out and how they were blurring the lines between reality and virtual reality. And people were walking around seeing actual virtual reality, whatever you call them, characters from Pokemon in real space, in real time. That was the preparation for this. There's been tons of those types of games now since then. And now...
The AR thing where they put like a... I don't know if you've ever played Pokemon Go. I have. I've actually played it semi-recently in the past 3 or 4 months or so. It doesn't know where to put the Pokemon. They just float in midair. It's not that advanced. Randy Owl says you could already do this with a VTube avatar. Yeah, I don't want to do the VTube thing. If it was in VR and we had to have like a model, it would just look like probably a more idealized version of me, but I don't want to do VTube.
We're getting to the next level where they're going to push this fast. They're going to obviously condition the masses. They're going to have pop-up stores all around the country so that people can go in and see for themselves, so they're not, blindly, because people aren't going to just blindly join in. They're going to be like, what? Obviously we know the freaks are going to get in, the people who already live in La La Land, who live in the virtual realm, pretty much playing video games 24/7, thinking that they're in the games. They'll be in. They got to get the rest of the masses on.
What's the last video game do you think Call has played? Pong? Call. I actually play video games less than you might think. Much less than I used to. They're still fun, but no, at no point do I think I'm in the game, Call. That's not how video games work. Like, when you watch a movie, do you think you're in the movie? No, it's a piece of entertainment you're engaging with. What?
on board, and they will be able to.
Bloodwine says, shout out to all the freaks in chat. Woo!
Through mind control tactics, and of course social engineering will be at the front of that, with their celebrities and the television just constantly pushing how it's a better world, a better reality. There's no hate, there's no judgment there. You could be whomever, and they'll be like, hook me up, and they won't realize, well, they probably already are hooked up with that graphene. I want to thank everyone for being here. Meyer, check out the website at callforuprising.com. It's $2.99 a month. Check it out if you haven't. I want to thank all of you for your support and thank the Patrons for your support as well, and all of you who are here. The nice comments and the thumbs up go a long way. I appreciate that as well. Hope you're doing well, and God bless you and your families.
So Call's a weirdo. Surprise. He seems very afraid by things he doesn't understand, and because of that, he falls... Weirdly, as much as he talks about other people being programmed by, like, big corporations and brainwashing, he believes Facebook advertising propaganda more readily than anyone else I know. Guys, I like my VR headset quite a bit. I enjoy VR. I think it's fun. If you want to play a game that feels immersive and you can kind of... Go watch my Half-Life Alex VR stream I did the other day. It's actually probably not even that fun to watch, but VR is very fun to play, because, you know, you're in a virtual environment and you can do weird shit like pick up a rat, name it Kathy Lee Gifford, and lose it and cry for a very long time. But the point I'm trying to make here is VR is fun. I'd recommend it if you have disposable cash and you're looking for something fun. Sure, check it out. I'd prefer you not get an Oculus, honestly, because Meta, Facebook, makes them. I did this because I'm cheap, and this is one of the cheaper headsets you can buy. But if you can, get like an HTC Vive or Steam, whatever Steam has. They got their own thing, I think. It's fun. You're not going to get a Metaverse. You're not going to get, you know, the Oasis from Ready Player One. Which is a good thing, by the way, that we don't have those and won't have those. But I think you'll enjoy it. There's enough fun experiences on there. Plus, if you liked Wii Sports, play some fucking bowling. Play some bowling. You'll enjoy it.